and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's May 31st, 2021, and this is episode 71. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just on my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Happy to report that really movie theaters, I think, are coming back in a big way. Last weekend, we had two films open up, A Quiet Place Part 2 and Cruella. And from what I've read, both did rather well at the box office. Again, considering not all theaters are open, and again, with COVID restrictions, etc. And then this upcoming weekend, we've got a couple of new films. So opening on Friday, June 4th, we've got another horror movie. It's another film in the Conjuring universe. It's called The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. This is directed by Michael Chavez. As I mentioned, it's the seventh film in this whole Conjuring franchise or universe, as they like to call it. And it's the largest horror movie franchise in history right now, meaning it has grossed the most amount of money. The report I'm reading said that it has these Conjuring movies have grossed more than 1.8 billion, B as in Bravo billion, worldwide. It includes the first two Conjuring films, as well as Annabelle and Annabelle Creation, The Nun, and Annabelle Comes Home. All movies which I have never seen, and I never plan on seeing them ever. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, this new one that's opening up on Friday, reveals a chilling story of terror, murder, and unknown evil that shocked even experienced real-life paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren, again, are played by Vera Farmiga. Sorry, I'm probably not saying her name right. And Patrick Wilson. It's based on one of the most sensational cases from their files. It starts with a fight for the soul of a young boy, then takes them beyond anything they'd ever seen before, to mark the first time in U.S. history that a murder suspect would claim demonic possession as a defense. It sounds perky, doesn't it? It's going to be playing in both theaters and on HBO Max, starting again on June 4th. And I'm sure it'll come as a shock to you that The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is rated R by the Motion Picture Association for terror, violence, and some disturbing images, and I'm pretty much thinking it's just all disturbing images. So then, for something completely different next weekend, on June 4th, we've got an animated family film called Spirit Untamed. This is from DreamWorks Animation. Spirit Untamed is a CGI animated film, and it's supposedly based on the Netflix animated television series called Spirit Riding Free. And these are all based on a film that DreamWorks did in 2002 called Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. Now, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron that came out a few years ago, it's actually quite a lovely film. Done in a hand-drawn animation, a 2D animation style, and really quite a good plot and just gorgeous animation. I have not seen any of this CGI stuff, including this Netflix series, but they've created this film spinoff, and it's gonna be in theaters. So it's an epic adventure about a headstrong girl named Fortuna that they call Lucky. She's voiced by Isabella Merced. And Lucky longs for a place to belong. She discovers a kindred spirit When her life intersects with a wild horse named, well, Spirit. And one thing too, as a side note, I don't know if this is the same Spirit horse, horse named Spirit that was in Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, that other movie, or if Spirit, it's just there's just been another horse that looks like Spirit and his name's Spirit. So anyway, sorry, someone will have to help me who's who's watched these. When a heartless horse wrangler and his team plan to capture Spirit and his herd and auction them off to a life of captivity and hard labor, that sucks, doesn't it? Our female protagonist, Lucky, enlists some new friends she's made, and they bravely embark on an adventure of a lifetime to rescue the horse who has given Lucky her freedom and a sense of purpose. The voice cast of Spirit Untamed also includes Julianne Moore and Jake Gyllenhaal, among others. This film is going to be playing exclusively in theaters, so at least for the time being. And I wonder how long it'll take it before it gets put on, maybe on the Peacock streaming service. Again, we'll see, but exclusively in theaters on June 4th. And Spirit Untamed is rated PG for some adventure action. So, choices to make in the theater. Again, A Quiet Place Part 2, Cruella from last weekend, and then this weekend, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and Spirit Untamed. For reviews this week, I will be reviewing the new Disney film Cruella, which opened up last weekend. And Cruella, as you probably already know, is an exploration of the origins of the great villain from Disney's 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil. And in this film, Cruella de Vil is played by Emma Stone. And Emma Stone really nails it. You probably are familiar with the other live action versions of this that Disney did in the 90s. They did 101 Dalmatians and then a sequel they called 102 Dalmatians. This starred Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil. But she started as adult Cruella de Vil. This is more, again, an exploration of the origins of Cruella de Vil. And, initially when I heard about this project, I just rolled my eyes and just thought, oh dear, here's another, money grab, a creatively bereft money grab. But I stand corrected. This is a very creative, very original, and very entertaining film. So, as I mentioned, Emma Stone plays a young Cruella de Vil, and it explores how Cruella became associated with Horace and Jasper, those two guys that are kind of bumbling idiots in the animated, in the animated classic. But really the big plot in this film, and again, I'm not going to give anything away, but Emma Stone's Cruella de Vil she's an aspiring fashion designer, and she's got a lot of talent, and she gets a job with the most reputable fashion house in London that is run by this woman called the Baroness, who is played just deliciously by Emma Thompson. So I'm calling this film the Battle of the Emmas, because these two at battle with each other is really just supremely entertaining. Some great decisions that I think that were made in this film were, ultimately I think can attribute them to director Craig Gillespie, but they set this film in the early 1970s in London, and So that I thought was a really cool idea, and there's a real great aesthetic that they take major advantage of. And also, this film has got one of the best soundtracks that I remember in a really long time. Just using a lot of existing songs again from the time period, and they're just terrific. They just set the mood instantly, and just add to this incredibly entertaining ride. If I were to have a criticism, and my criticisms actually are very minimal, I think it runs a bit long. It runs about 2.5 hours, and I frankly think about a half hour could have been cut out of it. Although I got to tell you, I never got bored, but I just it did go on. And again, I'm just never necessarily happy that Disney does these remakes. But this one was just of such high quality and such a high entertainment value that I'm not going to rip on him for making this film. So Cruella gets a big 2 big thumbs up from me, and hope you'll be able to see Cruella in theaters right now, as well as if you pay the extra fee to see it with their premiere access feature on Disney Plus. That's another way to do it too. And again, when you use that premiere access feature on Disney Plus, you pay a one-time fee, which I think is $30, and it's in your library as long as you keep your Disney Plus subscription. So you'll be able to watch it over and over as many times as you want. And then again, it's and it's available to you months before it will be available to the general public who just has the regular Disney Plus account. So anyway, yeah. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Cruella DeVille or Cruella, about Cruella DeVille is I highly recommend it. For my 3-by series this month, where I pick 3 films from a specific director, I've picked the director Yasujiro Ozu, and he's a Japanese director. And the first time I heard about him, I think on multiple kind of all-time best films list, is a film named Tokyo Story that was released in 1953, that was directed by Yasujiro Ozu, and I finally took the chance to watch it. It's one of the 3 films I picked, but really for me, he's not a well-known director. I was just familiar with the title of the Tokyo Story film, but he was born in 1903. And he began his career directing silent films, and then he started, just making other feature films, and then he was able to make a handful of color films before his death in 1963. One interesting thing I thought was learning more about him. He was born and he died on December 12th. So he died on his 60th birthday, which I thought was interesting. But he started making I some of his earlier films, I think, crossed different genres. But where he really gained his notoriety was creating these films that are really interesting look, that provide a very, very interesting look at marriage and family, and really the relationship, kind of the parent-child relationship within this dynamic, and another interesting note that he never married, and he didn't have any kids of his own. But I just found these films to have such uh, depth and insight into these relationships, and so I mean, clearly he didn't work on them alone, and I think he had other people that helped him. He wrote, I think, many of the screenplays that of course that he directed as films, but he also, I think there was some collaboration going on. But so the three films I picked of his, and by the way, I watched these films on the Criterion Channel streaming service. They have quite a few of Ozu's films, and I think there might have been like 13 or possibly 15. So I had to do some research to decide which ones to pick, in addition to Tokyo Story. So Tokyo Story was the first one I watched, which I mentioned was in 1953. It's filmed in black and white, and Tokyo Story was really one of the most poignant films I've seen in quite a while. It's about two parents, a man and a woman, and they are well into their 60s, maybe even in their 70s. It doesn't really say their age, but they're older. Their kids are all adults and have moved out of the house. They have 3 children. And one of their kids was killed in World War II. It was a son. So, but their daughter-in-law is still alive. I mean, of course she didn't die in the war. She was at home. But but then they've got a son and a daughter who are both, the son's a doctor, and the daughter runs a beauty parlor. And these parents live in the country, and they come into Tokyo to spend some time with their kids, kind of like on a vacation sort of deal. And this what unfolds, or what gets explored, is that both the living son and daughter, the doctor and the beauty parlor owner, they aren't really, they're very busy. Of course, they've got very busy professions and family life, but they're not interested in spending time with their parents. And even the grandchildren are kind of put out by this too. They just want to go about their lives and are not interested in spending time with their grandparents. And the only one who's really shows the grandparents any kind of decency and respect is this daughter-in-law, the widowed daughter-in-law, of their son who was killed in the war. And then I won't give it away in case you want to see it, but it's just this very moving and, of course, sad exploration into this phenomenon. It was interesting to me to have this explored through the eyes of a Japanese director. I think that some of this stuff is probably universal. Although, I think, and again, maybe this is just an overblown stereotype, but that I have heard or experienced or been told that typically that in Japanese culture, there's much more respect for their elders than we have probably like in our country or perhaps in other places around the world. But this movie was very enlightening and very moving. Ozu has a very distinctive style. His camera is mostly static. He's not moving things around a lot. I mean, he gets shots at different angles, but each shot is so beautifully composed. I just it was just an absolute pleasure to watch this, the artistry in this film. And that continued through all three of these films. It's a very, very distinctive style that you could tell is, again, made by the same director. But yeah, Tokyo Story, absolutely wowed by it, and would highly recommend it. I mean, it's not a perky film, but it's also not just completely hopeless and won't just necessarily wipe you out. Although it's emotional, but really, really a remarkable film. So the other two films I picked, again, because this guy, Ozu directed a lot of films, and I wasn't sure if I should explore some of these older ones or these newer ones. I decided to go newer. I wanted to see what his films look like in color, and so that was the choice I made. And I probably am going to go back and watch some of these other films of his. These last two that I watched, as I mentioned, they were in color. First one was his first color film that he directed in 1958, called Equinox Flower. And Equinox Flower is again focused on a family, and it's about a very domineering father, and again, probably not unlike many fathers of the time period. In some ways, he reminded me of my own father, but this, and who's happily married. Their marriage was arranged, and so he's got a daughter. He's got two daughters actually, that are living at home, and one of the daughters has fallen in love and wants to get married to this guy who the father just doesn't feel like they know much about him, and then the daughter is acting irrationally and in a disrespectful way. So it's really about this conflict and this dynamic between this very traditional father and the daughter. And the daughter, she's not living with him. She's not. I don't think that there's a lot of hanky panky going on. It's just she's marrying for love. She wants to marry for love, and the father feels, I think, is just like it's everything is out of his control. So I really, again, another excellent film, told created in that very same style, with that static camera and these beautiful shots. This one isn't, of course, nearly as tragic as Tokyo's Story, but again, a really interesting insight into Japanese society of the time period, and also an interesting exploration of the parent-child dynamic. The last one I watched was actually Ozu's final film, and it's called An Autumn Afternoon. And this is about, again, it's a drama and set within a family. It's about a father whose wife died, and he's got two children. He's got a son and a daughter. The daughter, who's 24 years old, has really taken the role of taking over. She's taken over the household and takes care of her dad. And even though her dad's perfectly capable and he goes to work every day and whatnot, but there's this dynamic, and there's all these other different relationships or things that are explored in the film of people making these different decisions. One in particular is one of the father's school friends, who also is in a similar situation. His wife died, and his daughter pretty much gave up her all of her marriage prospects to stay and take care of her dad. And so this particular father, our main one, is grappling with that. Should he focus on himself and have his daughter give up her life to take care of him, or should he encourage her to get married and then figure out how he's gonna take care of himself for the rest of his life? So it's I thought it was an excellent film, and kind of a fitting way for Ozu to end his filmmaking career with this kind of a film. It's really kind of a perfect coda about life and death and being alone. I was quite smitten with it. So good stuff for I was grateful that I, again, not knowing a lot of information other than Tokyo Story, that I was able to pick these films by Yasujiro Ozu. And if you have access to the Criterion Collection streaming service, I think there's a lot of good stuff. One other thing of note, there's a documentary that's also on the Criterion Channel about Yasujiro Ozu that's directed by Wim Wenders. It's called Tokyo Ga, and I'm excited to watch that. I wasn't able to watch that before recording the podcast, but we'll look forward to watching that and learning more about Yasujiro Ozu. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. Links are also on the blog. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at MoviesPAP. As always, I hope you will enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be safe out there and dedicate yourself to the truth.